104.7 The K, Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens, Dark Side of the Stream, episode 142.
All right, we're trucking right along.
This week
I'm not hungover. This is God, so much better.
Both here. We got good
still
rest.
Look pretty horrible because my kid did my makeup last night.
I think you look pretty good. I think she looked good. She did a good job.
Good.
I think she did.
I need to start wearing shades to this event.
It's just all about lighting in your face.
Old, dude.
Yeah, you giving me crap about looking like a dad.
I look like a grandpa.
Look like my dad. So this pick, before we talk about it, in the 142 episodes of this podcast that we've been doing for a couple of years now, have never ever said the phrase I'm about to say to you.
Oh gosh.
And that is this: do not watch this documentary series. Do not watch this documentary series
and we've seen some crazy stuff, dude.
If you are a parent, do not watch this. If you are an angry person that doesn't like when people mess with kids, do not watch this documentary. And number 3, if for some reason 1 and 2 don't apply to you, think of another reason to not watch this documentary, because Jay forced me to watch this for this episode. He didn't force me, but it's part of my job. It's called Jared from Subway Catching a Kid.
I thought it was a documentary about this Jared dude from Subway. Hey, American success story. Dude lost a lot of weight. He was slinging sandwiches, and then he just disappeared. I didn't know where the guy went. So I was like, okay,
prison
cool.
For the rest of his life.
Well, I didn't know this going in.
Where he is.
I wasn't hit to what he was doing, man. I thought he was just slinging $5 footlongs. They're gone too.
And honestly, he
took the $5 footlongs with him.
I don't know if he's currently in general population. I would think that he's probably not. If they ever put this guy in general population, he's done.
Well, especially after this documentary.
He's done.
My gosh, I didn't know all this was down.
He is done. It reminds me of a video I recently saw of a couple guys talking about what R. Kelly's life's going to be in prison, and he goes, he's going to be dancing on a table for everyone.
Yeah,
He's singing
for him. He sings for him.
All these guys in prison are like, hey, I got my daughter on the phone. I want you to sing to her. R. Kelly, come over here.
He sings happy birthday to him and stuff. Dude, he does.
That's his life.
He's singing in prison.
Don't mess with kids. Bottom line. Today's episode of Dark Side of the Stream brought to you by not messing with kids. Again, we'll discuss this horrible story of an awful human being who, in my opinion, shouldn't be breathing anymore. His name's Jared Fogle. He was the spokesman for Subway. And yes, Jay is right. He was a very large individual who claimed that lost a ton of weight eating nothing but Subway sandwiches. Now, you can lose a lot of weight eating anything you want. It really comes down to your calorie count, calories in, calories out. There are ways to lose weight without doing any kind of physical activity at all. Slow carb diet, keto diets, those two come to mind. You literally don't have to do anything, but you cut out all sugars, all grain, all milk, dairy, all that stuff. You're basically meat and vegetables, and it works.
Yeah, we've both done.
It works. It's extremely difficult, and you got to have so much discipline,
willpower. Yeah.
So again, back to what I was saying. Say success story. I can't even want to say that in his name in the same thing. He lost a lot of weight because ultimately he was able to figure out an easy way to count calories and to cut back on what he was
eating
doing.
A little half this in the morning and half at night or something. And
made a lot of money doing that too, man. Made a lot of money.
Subway picked him up and ran with this story.
Well, yeah, why wouldn't you?
There was knockoff clones and everything, but yeah, who knew behind the scenes what went down?
There was a lot more going on behind the scenes.
I had no clue.
We'll talk about that more.
Eating turkey.
Well, he's eating a lot more than eating turkey. I think he was a veggie guy too. Either way, we'll discuss more next. Jared from Subway, Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. .7 The K, Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens in the studio, Dark Side of the Stream, episode 142. Jared from Subway, Catching a Monster or something like that. It's on Netflix. It's it's on Max, excuse me. And
HBO Max,
it's
right?
a
Max now. Yeah. Max.
Horrible story. So we've kind of set the foundation. A local or national sandwich chain picks up this guy, lost a lot of weight, claiming that he did it eating their sandwiches.
Great ad campaign. It worked.
Huge ad campaign. But then they went a step further. They booked this guy to talk about, losing weight, being active, a healthy lifestyle. He went and talked to kids in schools all over the country. He would roll up with his
big pants and show how big he used to be and how big he was now. It was,
supposed to be inspiring.
Yeah, it's supposed to be inspiring, right?
Well, behind the scenes, this guy was a monster. He went after kids, abused several, countless kids. And then inevitably, a journalist kind of started to get wind of what was going on with this guy.
To her for
if we want to go there now, we can go there now. I have to say props to her because she had no background in law enforcement. She was basically just doing her job as a journalist, and then found out this guy might not be who he says he is.
Well, he was trying to hit on her kind of, and she was like, okay, they were kind of playing the game, but she wasn't quite into him. And then he just starts talking like how you just start spilling the beans of your life, man, to somebody you're just kind of trying to date.
Someone who hasn't been checked
especially if you've got some dark skeleton.
Someone who hasn't been checked yet, he just thinks he can do whatever he wants. Obviously he did. But she kind of started to feel like something was off.
Yeah, she caught the vibe and she ran with it. And she's like, okay.
And she did her due diligence because, again, at that point, she had a choice. She could say, you know what, this guy, I'm not into him. I'm out of here. This guy's weird. I hear he's weird. And down the road, if this came out, she could have been like, oh my God, I could have stopped this. And she did what she needed to do to stop it.
She decided, you know what? This guy sounds sick. I'm going to start recording these calls and try to get everything I can out of it.
And she did. And she got a hold of law enforcement, and they basically asked her to, well, at first, no, they didn't, but they said, okay, well, then let's get him on tape. And that, my friend, is the toughest part of the documentary. And we'll talk about that next. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio. Dark Side of the Stream, episode 142, discussing Jared from Subway. So we discussed the woman who really, if it hadn't been for her, who knows how long this would have continued on before he actually either got caught by law enforcement, by a parent, or if a kid just eventually had the guts to say something.
Well, while that's going on, though, too, he hooks up with this CEO for his company or his charity, who also was a pretty twisted cat, man. Who was like a match made in non-heaven.
And he was trying to make this girl like be his like feeler, like essentially like get girls. Yeah.
And this guy with his kids, he's like, your kids have friends. And then with this dude, when he was setting up cameras and bro, it gets wild. I was like, this is next level.
It is so next level, but also it's just so hard to watch and hear. I will equate this to when we're watching a movie and you know that something is about to happen to an animal or something is happening to an animal. My wife will literally like tune it out. She'll walk away. She can't handle it at all. Like we'll like shut down completely, cover her eyes, cover her ears, and just doesn't want anything to do with it. That's how I handled this. Every time they started to play a phone recording of him, I literally like mute, turn down. I can't. I already know. I don't need to know anymore. I don't want to know anymore. I just basically forced my way through it so that I could at least talk about it in some aspect. But yeah, dude, I couldn't listen to that stuff. I mean, I got kids. Like I talk about that man. It was in the 80s where he shot his child abuser. They were bringing him back into the airport, and he's just standing by the payphone. They got it on camera. He turns around, puts it right in his head, and puts it right there. I think he served like community service. Right, that was it. And he said, if I could bring him back to life, I'd shoot him again. And that's exactly how I feel. If this guy had anything to do with anything of my kids or any kids that I knew, I would have ended his life myself. And I'd have been happy to sit in the jail for the rest of my life. I'd do it now. I'd take him out all day. Doesn't need to live.
Pretty gnarly,
There's no reason for us keeping this guy alive. And I'll put that on record all day. We will give you our reviews next. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio one more time to discuss the documentary we watched this week. Jared from Subway catching a monster. How many $5 footlongs will you give this documentary?
Well, I'm gonna go 3, only because it had a twist that I didn't see coming, and the twist was just more twisted. You know, with the dude had cameras all around the house, and the mom, those daughters' mom, she was trying to set them up for like wanting to do things with them. Like, bro, ah. Watch it, everybody. Watch it. I will tell you the opposite of Mike. Watch it. Just you'll be disturbed.
I can't give it any because
zero.
I just
is it the first zero you're ever giving?
Again, like it's not because the documentary wasn't well made.
It's the first zero he's giving.
It wasn't because the story was. It's just hard, man. You can't. It's hard for me to watch that stuff and to hear about it, that it exists, because when you got kids, something in your edges change. You before kids, nothing can kill you. You're invincible. You're angry. You're harder. You don't let anyone mess you around. But once you have a child, everything flips. It becomes them. At least it did for me.
Yeah.
So my sharp edges are them now, and like kids in general, I just can't. Like, you see things in especially in the public with what we do in certain situations sometimes, and you're just like, your heart breaks for kids, because ultimately they don't have a choice. It's up to us as adults to put them in a place where they can succeed and support them in everything that they do. You can't make them be good kids or bad kids. We have no control. All you can do is give them the tools you can. But you hear these stories like those two girls, man. I mean, like, my heart broke for them.
Yeah, their mom failed them.
Dude, it's just so many people failed so many different kids on so many different levels when they should be protected. And that is why I implore you, unless you have some sort of morbid curiosity that you need to know this story, just pass it. Listen to us talk about it, and that's really
this is the first zero Mike's ever given.
Yeah, it is the first zero, and the first time I said just skip it, man. It's not worth getting mad about, because this guy will be in prison for the rest of his life.
You might have intrigued people to actually watch it. So
yeah,
I mean, it's worth the watch just because it's insane.
It's insane, and it breaks my heart. So speaking of insanity, next week's pick is a documentary that was just released on Netflix. It's called Muscles and Mayhem, the unauthorized story of the American Gladiators, which I used to watch the hell out of.
I watched the 30 for 30 on it just recently too, and so you said there's now an actual
docuseries Netflix.
I'm in.
Learn about the hot chicks, the muscles, the cocaine, and the madness. I can't wait. American Gladiators next week, Dark Side of the Stream. You can always watch these live on Facebook every Thursday, 9 a.m. or hear it on my show at the same time.
Jordan and she doesn't get it on her
For some
Facebook
reason, her phone doesn't work, but they're there, and you can listen to it 6 p.m. during Jay's show every Thursday, or as a podcast on our 104.7 The Cave app. I am Mike the Intern. This is Jay Stevens reminding you, we watch difficult documentaries, so you don't have to. It's Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.